And further ado, I am going to introduce one of my students to start with. Joseph, if you can turn your camera on, I don't know if where you are, just to talk to us, about how you feel about the class, why you're taking it, and what's your experience so far. Joseph.
Hi, everybody. I'm just in the process of finalizing, the last, parts of the course. So I'm not even in the interview preparation yet. So far it's very interesting. So it requires a lot of work and practice. As they say, you have to put the 3 hours, every day to master the basics of Linux. So far, so good, So your class and other classes also join in the teaching process. So far, I'm very happy in acquiring I don't have experience with the job, so I'm just on the final stage of the course. If anybody is here new to have a question about the course, how from the student's perspective, they can ask me if they have any question. Jerry?
Okay. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. Joseph is one of the students that I admire. He's always hungry, want to learn more, always strive for the greatness. And I like that. Joseph is one of my prospects that I'm looking at to join my team. And yeah, I like how he's working. Joseph come in with no knowledge, and now in class, he's always prepared and he's always ready to ask questions, ready to answer. He want to know more. And even his classmates always like, okay, Joseph, okay, Joseph. And I heard that all the time when I'm teaching. And that is good for me to see people want to learn more. So Semi, if you can talk to the audience about yourself and what got you in here and what's your experience with MTS?
Okay, I started with MTS 2 years ago. Prior to MTS, I had no IT background. I was actually in school when I heard of it. I did not know what Linux was. I've never heard of the word Linux before. And then I came across the school and I spoke to a couple of students and, I gave it a try, and I feel like it is the best thing that I've ever done for myself this far. I think I do believe the school has every resource, every support, and everything that you can ever need to really grow yourself and earn the money that you deserve. I did put in the time and effort while I was taking the class. Yes, putting in 3 hours and plus every day. I met up with students after class and during weekends, during holidays to study together. I studied on my own as well. I got on the command line. Finding a job was not easy, but the school really helped me. The team helped me. There's always resources. There's always people willing to help you do a mock interview with you. And I feel like it's a great resource and it's a great school for you to start your IT journey.
Thank you, Semi.
No.
So Semi is one of our success students and she's working for Booz Allen right now. And I can't talk about the project because it's a private thing. So Semi come in with no knowledge. Semi was one of those people, I'm not picking on you, but one of those people that have no idea when you talk about stuff, they're just looking at you. But today she's proudly talking about it, teach other people, being able to, and it's a great thing because Semi is being able to use the knowledge that she have and how she learned because she come with no background, how she learned and how to explain to those people who are in a position right now, which is those who have no idea and how to get them closer to the level that they need to be at. So Semi has been a big help for the school. So we're just gonna talk, have a conversation. And you guys also, if you have a question, you can either say it or you can put your question on the chat. Okay, so since COVID started, a lot of people have an idea, a lot of people start to move everything online. People start to hear about virtualization. And when people say virtualization, what's the word virtualization? Where's it coming from? And how is the virtualization affecting work area from today's work area? And how is MTS using that to prepare students? Because there are a lot of people are talking about virtualization. What is a virtualization? How they have no idea what is virtualization, right? So if we can go back in the days a little bit before we used to hear about data center. Example, when I was working for the government, they used to have a dedicated room that they fill up a lot of server, right? Rack, server.
I used to go in.
You used to go in.
Do a tape exchange.
Yeah, I used to do that too. So like when it's raining, when it's snowing, and the tape is full, guess what? You have to go change the
And
tape.
it's heavy, okay?
You have to change the tape because the system, if anything happened, that's what they use for backup, right? So back in the days, some government places still have those data centers, right?
They still do.
They still do. So instead of spending money buying those equipment and buying this, there, or all those things, people now decide to do a different way. What is the way that they do? They use the virtualization. That's how they come up with the virtualization. And now people, Amazon took the idea, because every idea you have, somebody else have a better one. You see what I'm saying?
Amazon and Azure.
Amazon and Microsoft and Google also, they decide to take those ideas and create what they call now AWS. People talking about, oh, I'm doing a cloud. But what is a cloud system, or what is a cloud computing stand for, right? It's to somebody's data center that you pay to use their resources. That's what it is. But a lot of people don't know. People say that, oh, I want to become an AWS engineer. I want to become, I heard that the AWS or the cloud engineer make a lot of money. Yes, you make a lot of money, but guess what? If you know more, you make even more. And that's why I always talk about Linux. With Linux, you can do anything you want to do. But without Linux, it's going to be hard because you're going to have roadblocks, because everything requires Linux. Even you work in the Windows field, they will ask you a question about Linux sometimes. So it's best for you to teach, to take the Linux class and take it serious. Our Linux class is designed to help those people, like students can become a cybersecurity engineer. So a student can become a DevOps engineer, a cloud engineer, and a Windows engineer taking the Linux class. So it's kind of weird, but that's how it is. But you cannot come from Windows side to become a Linux admin. It's not going to work. But you can't go from Linux to become a Windows. That's the crazy part. We have a student in the class right now. He's working as a Windows system engineer for some company. I can't give that name out. But he decided they send him to come and take a class from us because they're about to migrate it to Linux. And you need to learn Linux, so that's why he's taking the class. So every time we talk about stuff, he's like, oh, I heard that one before. But that's not how you do in Windows. But that's why he's here, right? He's here to get those knowledge so he can be able to use that for his job.
But that's what happened to me too. I took Linux here, and then it was in Azure and Windows environment, so it did not take me that much time to learn Windows.
Right, and it make it easier.
The other way around, yeah, because it was GUI phase, so they trained me for a couple of weeks, and I was okay with it because I'm coming from a Linux background,
right,
where everything is mostly done on the command line. So when they show me things that is done on a GUI phase, so it's like, this is nothing. So
yeah,
that's what I do, majority Windows and Azure now. But when they have Linux issues, they would definitely come to me. But just knowing Linux, it makes you just look better. Like, it's
right. So that's why I always say Linux make you look better, and it give you more, advancing, people. So example, if you talk about when people talk about become, having a degree and not having a degree, right? So based on the example that you give, so I give you guys an example. About 12 years ago, I was working for NOAA downtown Silver Spring. And I remember we have a data center. So in the data center, I came over there, think about it. I didn't have an MTS. There's no MTS to support me. I was by myself. And as things are moving, we went to the data center and I look at all those stuff. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Now I'm working. Now I have these things, right? And we have only one Windows server, but everything else is Linux. But the guy that I work with, they don't like Windows. So we're trying to get rid of the Windows. And we have this little box on the floor. Remember, virtualization is a topic, but we have this little box on the floor. It was an SFTP server, right? That they're using to transfer file, because I work for fisheries and I didn't know that people, in order for you to become a fisherman, you need a license. I didn't know that, right?
A fisher.
Yeah, to become a fisherman.
To get fish?
To go and fish.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, I learned that, right? So in order for you to go and do fishing, you need to have what they call a license for to become a fisherman. So I come to learn that, and I was one of the people that work on the application. But when they submit their document, to do the fishing license and all the stuff, you need to, there's a requirement, and the documentation have to send it to SFTP because you have to be secure. And the box is small. It's like a regular computer desktop that they put a Linux on it and they put on the corner. Now we have to migrate this system, and back then it was a Red Hat 4, 5, but we have to migrate it to Red Hat 6. It was a hell of a work. So I'm telling you, it was a lot of work. So you gotta make sure that the client, the people, the customer, they cannot feel like, example, you guys being on Instagram, right? People being on Instagram, Facebook, and all this stuff. When they do maintenance, as a user, you never know what's going on.
Right.
You never see Microsoft, Amazon, or not Amazon, Amazon, people use the Amazon app, but Facebook, Instagram, all those other social media, you never see them send a message out like, hey, we have a maintenance today, you guys need to shut down your system. You never get that message. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The reason why is to keep their time, they call what they call the downtime. They want to keep their downtime to zero, because once your system have a loud downtime, you're losing money. So they're trying to keep it up. So we trying to do the same thing, right? So what happened is we have to create a virtual machine, right? Back then we used, so they have what they call hypervisor. I don't know if you guys heard of the word hypervisor. Hypervisor basically is a software that is created by VMware. Red Hat also have it, Oracle have it, and other company. The hypervisor is a software that you put on a server. Then it allow you to create virtual machines. So for example, at MTS, we do have an hypervisor. If I share my screen really quick, so I can share that with you guys, you will see that that's what our students are using to build their virtual machine. So at MTS, we teach people enterprise environment stuff. So if you see here, this is the hypervisor. You go here, and then you have your login. So you can log in, put your username and password that we gave you. All the credentials will be provided by MTS. So you have this. This is your hypervisor, right? The hypervisor are what you install. This is the one big server that we have. And this is another one big server that we have. So if you see, those are students' virtual machines, right? All those are virtual machines. And if you click on the virtual machine and click on this one, for example, and it pop up here, you have a computer. It's just like a regular computer. So I can put the password. Now it open up. I don't know if I put the password right. It seems like I put too many stuff. Okay, so if you guys see, it's like just like a regular computer, right? So I said no to this. And if you see, this is like a regular computer that you have. So this is, the hypervisor is here. the supervisor is here. And what this does, it gives students, those are machines that our students are creating. So each classes have their own supervisor. The supervisor is this IP address that you see, and we call it data center, right? So you have a data center 1, data center 102, 103, and we continue to attach more. And for businesses, we have all here. So everything that you do now, I don't have to have a big data center and have thousands of machines, you know what I mean, spend too much money on the virtual machine, physical machine to create it for each application that you have. So what they do now, they build small virtual machines like those and allow students or at your workplace, you can be able to create it for virtual, I think you guys use cloud, right?
Yeah.
Azure. So Azure is called instances, correct?
Yep.
So you create instances. The instance that you create it costs your company money. Every time it's running, it costs money.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? So the reason why you gotta be smart so you can be able to talk to them about it. And what we do here at MTS, we educate people on how to use those stuff and how to be able to maintain it. So maintenance is what you guys get your pay for. When you get a job, taking this class, when you get a job, the job already, those stuff are already being created. At your work, same thing, right?
Yeah.
All you do is just maintain it.
Maintain it, yep. And then for the Azure servers, cost effective, not just the data center. So most of our servers are on-prem, but we migrating to Azure, 1, to get rid of that space that the server is living in.
Exactly.
And 2, Azure servers go down at 10 p.m. at night and come up at 6 a.m. So my job as a system admin, my shift starts at 7 p.m. is to make sure all the servers are up and running before work starts. So basically, when I log in, if any monitoring system is alerting that server
Is
so
down.
and so is down, it's my job to troubleshoot and get it up as soon as possible. So as a system admin, that's your job, to maintain it and making sure that the environment, every server is up and running.
So that you did say something that's a key here, right? The cost effective. They shut down the server certain time and they turn it back on a certain time.
Yeah.
The reason why they do that is they cannot shut down a system that's public facing. So there's a public facing and there's an internal, right? Everything that's internal use, they shut it down. Why? Because they want to save money.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? They're trying to save money. But if it's a public facing, so example, we have server that's public facing. If you go to our data center right now, this is our business data center, and you see like Jira, for example, and Jenkins, those are our DevOps server, and Jira, so this is Dev Jira, and you have a ticketing system, Pro. So the pod is our ticketing system that is used by the students to get into their homework, right? This system cannot go down.
Because it's a production server.
It's a production server. So if anything that's production, then say Joseph, I use Joseph as an example, because Joseph like to work a lot, right? So when students want to work or study, they need to have access to those resources. Now, if they go to, because the ticketing system, which is here, is public facing. So if they want to go to their homework, right? So example, we have our homework on those applications. Those applications, by the way, guys, is built and we do all the stuff here, and the students also get a chance to work on those things so they can have those hands-on, everything we do at MTS is hands-on, right? So they can have those experience when you go to work, when you go to interview, whatever we do, you already have the knowledge. You don't want to be like a stranger coming to, go into a country that you don't speak the language. Like example, I'm using China, for example. I go to China and everybody speaks Chinese. I don't know anything, right? But if you already start learning Chinese here, you go to China, you will get out, without problem, because you know how to say hello, you know how to ask for things.
Yeah.
So I'll use the same terminology here at MTS. We use the terminology that's at work because we have professional like yourself who are teacher or TA, and you also provide tutoring. So during those sessions, we use what? The lingo, the professional lingo, so people can be able to.
The IT lingo.
The IT lingo. So
Yeah.
you can be able to talk about the same thing as everybody else. So example, this is open to the students. but it's running on the VMware. Where is it at? Right here. So this server is running on this one. This is the main server that's hosting the application that I just showed you guys. This one. So that application is what we teach the students. When you join the class, the first week of the class, we go over this stuff. You got to understand where to submit your homework, where to get your homework, where to get your lecture, where to get the agenda. You can know when the class start and when the class finish. Because some people join in, they're ready to go get money, and I don't blame them because without the money, you can't leave well, right? Everybody need to get money. But before you get money, you gotta know the things. And to know the things, that's why we have those stuff, right? We have these tools here to show you everything. You have an agenda, you have a calendar. It tells you about the month, the whole month's calendar. You have it here, you go to the next month. So you know what topic to read before you come in.
Yeah.
And the great things about MTS, you have a videos that you go over the videos. You can schedule tutoring one-on-one with instructors. We have all the stuff. So back to that virtualization again. So when you guys have the server go down during this time, and then you have to make sure that it go up. Does the every month so that if you forget to turn out those machines, what happened?
So depending if it's a production server, or if I don't turn it on, is that your
Mhm. Oh.
question? If I don't turn it off,
Right.
then it will continue charging, and it's just going to be, it's not going to be cost effective. It would be the opposite of that. And
They probably gonna come to you and say why you didn't shoot that, because once they're gonna do
if
the
I
count,
didn't
right?
turn it on. Oh, yeah. So my manager would say, why didn't you turn it on? Did you see any issues? I need feedbacks. What happened? How did you fix it? Even after you turn it on, they want to know what happened. How did you do it? What
It's called
was
an
the occurrence?
RCA.
Yep. And then you need to update your ticket, because next time, if anything like this happened, then you are able to share with a
Use the same
coworker
one.
or use the same method to bring it up. The goal in IT is do what you gotta do to bring it up. So no matter what it is, like if you know how to do it today, you better do it tomorrow in less than a minute. That's the thing. Like if it took you 5 minutes today to figure it out, tomorrow should take you a minute, because now you have documentation, you have SOPs, and you've been through it once. But yeah.
So that is exactly what is happening, right? In every work environment is the analysis that you're talking about. So if a system go off, but what I was saying earlier, if it's that you don't turn it off, it's continue to bill you guys. You see what I'm saying? And especially working for this big company, they probably have heavy things. They probably use the top of the line, because when you go on Amazon or Azure or Google, they have a courses for stuff, right? They can tell you that, oh, we charge you 3 pennies per hour using this resources. But the 3 pennies start to add up. Guess what? You're gonna pay probably like for the whole day, they can pay $100, right? And then if they pick, say the storage is high, and then they decide to pick the highest CPU, all the stuff are adding up. So you need to be careful how you use it. That's why I say, if you don't do that, guess what's gonna happen? They're gonna come and say, oh, Sammy, why this is not open? Why you didn't turn it off? Now they have to pay. When they're gonna have to pay the bill is gonna be higher, right? Now, speaking of when the problem occur, when you turn on the system is not turned on yet. You gotta figure out a way to fix it. Now, once you fix it, you gotta document it, right? That's why every time you see, I always have a documentation for things, is because I got used to it, right?
Yeah.
I got used to it. You gotta document everything that you do. And if you see in our MTS, we have students document their homework. It's for that simple reason. We put you guys in a situation that you are at work. This happened. How do you fix it? And you document it. This documentation that you do, it's like an assignment, but also the assignment will be reported back to you, because once we correct this assignment, you have a copy, we have a copy. Now you're at work, this same problem that you did at MTS, it happened, guess what? It's make it easier for you.
Exactly.
I had a student before, he went to work. He started working for, I think, a US PTO downtown DC, and they have a problem. You know, they have a problem with us. Now they don't have a problem. They have to migrate their SFTP, but they don't know who to do it because they say, "Oh, we need an SFTP server," and people are scared. He was the youngest. That guy graduated from college. Right after, just like you, right after he graduated, he got a job as a Linux admin. Right, he graduated in May, June, July. He started as a Linux admin, and by the end of July, they proposed that situation. He called me while I was working. Hey, Jerry, I'm at work right now. We have a meeting. We have to create a new SFTP server. I am the one, I don't know if I'm ready to, I think we did that in class. I want to take the challenge. I said, go for it. Think about it. It's 12 of them on the team, but all those 12 have at least minimum 10 years. And Asa. He was the only one that just joined, but he had the experience they have at MTS, give him even more experience than those people that have been there, right? So he decided to take off. They're like, no, you just got here. He said, no, I'll take that challenge. Guess what he did? He took the challenge, came to the school. I sat down with him in the office, went over the stuff, show him what he need to do. It's to the same system like this. You see that? SFTP? That's what we did. FTP server. And we did that. He went back to work and took the challenge. He finished it. They were expecting him to finish in 6 months. He finished that thing in 1 day. And he gave it to them. They tested. He pushed into production. That same project, you know how much they gave him as a raise? Asa asked them for 45K bonus, raise that he won. They gave it to him because he was able to do that and he was maintaining for them.
Wow.
And there are more things, so he secured that for them. That's why I say to people, Linux got a security, Linux got a database, Linux got a networking, Linux have everything that you need.
Storage.
So if storage, right?
Yeah.
So all the stuff, if it wasn't for this school, it would not. So Asa is the happiest guy. Think about it, you just walk into work. They offer him before when he first joined 115 and then 45K raise that he just got. So 160,000 that he started working with them. So think about it, how much this guy life changed right after graduation. How many people do you see them graduate from high school directly?
And make 20 an hour.
You see what I'm saying?
With a degree.
With the degree.
Yeah.
So those are the experience that we are giving to people. Unfortunately, back in the day, I wasn't talking too much. I didn't have the good marketing team to be able to put those stuff out there to help people. My goal is not the money, but my goal is the number of people that I wanted to help to get into the field. When you first met me, you don't know anything. Today, I'm happy you and I can speak the same language because you know what I'm talking about. You have an idea.
I had no clue what Linux. I've never heard of the word Linux. I've never heard of it before. It was so crazy to me. And imagine I was doing my master's and I've never heard this word before. And it's so crazy to me how I went from not even knowing the word to like sitting here and talking about it today. I really like it. I think it's so unique. That's how I just put it. I think Linux is so unique. I think IT is unique, but Linux is even more unique because what you do it has nothing to do with it's not like sales where you're talking to someone, you're talking to a computer. So it's like you communicate with the computer all day. When I'm troubleshooting, if a person cannot help me, it's just me and the computer. That's it. It's me and the server. But I was gonna say, oh yeah, SOP. Speaking of documentation, one thing that I wanted to add was getting used to taking notes and having your own notes is very helpful because even in the work field, it's your responsibility as an admin to suggest to the Scrum manager, to the product manager, hey, since we migrated to Rel 8, the SOP should be changed. Since I work for the government, I can't change the SOP. It has to be, send the product manager has to suggest it to the government people. So, but it's my responsibility to say, hey, can we have a meeting because this section of the SOP does not align with what we do now. So it has to be changed. So that itself is also a task that, you know, you need to do as a system admin, is go through the documentation and make suggestions, because at the end of the day, the SOP is what helps you on a day-to-day basis.
So what you just say, I remember when I got to, again, NOAA, because that was my first experience, right? And they don't have any SOP. They just give me a lot of papers, and I was like, what am I looking at? So what I decided to do, I create a wiki, a media wiki I created. And after I created media wiki, I store all those documentation there. But those documentation allow those SOP allow them now, funny enough, Paula came in and she saw so many documentation with the name Jerry on. You know, Paula was one of my students, left, took my spot, and she said, man, everything I see here is Jerry, 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 Jerry. So what I did, I put everything on it, step by step, so you can be able to, you know, you come in as a fresh new person, you can go step by step, look at it, and so you can be able to explain all the stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how I do in the class all the time. Every time we have a class, I explain it, put the documentation, what is this command does, etc. So the SOP is it's a bit.
And for those who don't know, SOP is for standing
Operation
standard
procedure.
operating procedure.
So what does it do? Like she said something that's key here, right? When the system changed, the SOP changed.
Yeah.
When think about it, you as a Linux admin, you are the key player in this environment. You are the key player. Everybody is looking up to you. Everybody's expecting you to be able to help them. Why? Because you're the one with the knowledge. And I'm not saying that to scare you guys. You shouldn't be scared, because we are with you from the day that you join us to the day that you get a job. You can always, we have a group chat group that you will be part of it, that's for sure. You will be part of the group, and in the group there are a lot of people there, thousands of people ready to help. But I'm saying that to say I remember when I was there, most of the people that I work with, right? 98% of the people that I work with at NOAA are doctors. People that have their PhD. So think about it. I never had a PhD. I don't like school that much, right? So I never have a PhD. I just like technology. Things that work for me, that's what, if there's money after, because I know some people that have a PhD but make more money than they do. Right? So to me, the degree doesn't mean anything to me. But at the end of the day, what happened is we went to those programs. I mean, when we went to a meeting, guess who got to make the last decision?
Yeah.
Jerry got to make the decision on the system. Why? Because the system is me. Like you say, Linux is unique. Sometimes I say, man, I wish Linux was my friend, because that's the only thing that can understand me than people. Because put a thing, if it's wrong, it's just tell you straight up. I like things to be black and white. Don't try to sugarcoat or cut corners. So it's the same thing, right? That happened in a meeting. We had a meeting about stuff, and all those people waiting for me to give them my answer, my feedback. And it's because they wanted to know more. You see what I'm saying? They wanted to know more. And you'll be surprised, like people that's older than you, and you're the youngest in the room, but you're the one that gotta make a decision. You're the one that gotta tell them how the system is working. So to me, it's a pleasure to be like, man, I'm making an impact. You watched the video that Paul showed earlier, right? Paul was one of my all students, but Paul is MTS. He's a VP now at MTS. And Paul just says something that when he start working is like, it's a different thing. You know what I mean? He's impacting the, State Department now. He's part of a big project. What that have to do with what? The passport. I remember when I was at NOAA, I got in, they were using old system. So I come out with a new, fresh idea, show it to them, and they just went with it. We created Count My Fish. Because before, when fish come to America, I don't know if you guys know that, but fish coming from different countries, right? When those fish come in, they have it, but before they just have like people have a paper.
Mhm.
They write a name, how many fish you have in this thing, where they come from, and all this stuff. And then what did they do with the paper? Scan it and fax it to Noah.
Mhm.
But I came up with the idea. It's called count my fish.
Mhm.
That's what we call it, count my fish. So what we do is, once the boat hit the, what do you call this thing?
The shore,
Whatever they call, right?
port.
Yeah, once the fish come in, you scan it. As soon as you scan it, they know exactly how many fish is in that thing and how big they are, where they come from, and all the stuff. So as soon as you scan it, the information already,
Facts.
like automatically they get that on the application. Count my fish. You see what I'm saying? So we know now all the stuff. When I left, I didn't train anybody to learn that. They didn't know I was living. So I come one day, I told them, like, hey, I got a new job. I went to University of Maryland. I'm about to leave. They have nobody to replace me. Now they got me 10 the stuff, right?
Yeah.
Now I have to make a new deal with them. Before I used to make, I remember I was making 187. Now I told them, no, I want at least $500 an hour. They said, no, we can't pay you that. Well, I said, well, I guess your system is down.
Whoa.
So now I got you. I am the one that controlling your system. The
Yeah.
password that I put on is, I'm the only one that have it.
Mhm.
So basically, you can't sue me because we don't have any contract. I used to work for you. You can say, I have an SOP for it, but you can't get any information from me if you don't pay for it. So what happened? They came to me and they decided, okay, we need to do this contract. They went and signed the contract. So we agreed to what? I decided to wind down the price. Instead of 500 and per hour, I was doing it $375 an hour. And then I told them I work on my own term. So all the stuff I discussed with them, and I did it for 6 months. Then I trained somebody else to take over. So those are things that you can be able to do it. And I learned all the stuff through Linux. Through Linux, I learned all the stuff. I never went to school for anything else but this. Through this, I learned the script. Through this, I learned this. I learned all the stuff because it's really straightforward. Really straightforward. If you know, like I always say, if you know it, you know. If you don't know, you don't know.
Yep,
The
I
system
agree.
never lies. All right, guys. I know we're coming close to our time. We are open for questions, either for Semi or for myself. You can ask question for the next 5 minutes, please. Anybody have any questions?
Jerry, I have a question for Sami.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about your first job experience, since it's recent, and how it is and where you start working, and was it challenging? Did you get any help from Jerry, or?
I did. I really did. So I started applying to jobs as soon as I got my resume. I was in my interview prep class. So I applied to this job and they said, let's interview you. I didn't think they were gonna hire me. So I just took it. I mean, I was just like, I know you guys not gonna hire me. And it was 5 people on the call. And I remember it was on a Friday and they called me on Monday and said, we want to extend an offer to you. And that was my first job, my first interview, my first everything. Prior to reminder, like, I just want to remind you guys that I went from I started MTS a month before I graduated. So it's like, this is my first interview ever. And I was just like, okay, well, I was happy. I smiled so hard, like my jaws were hurting all day for 2 days. I'm not even joking. I said, this can't be true. And so I started the job and it turned out to be a DevOps position. It was really hard. I worked for 12 days and I said, I can't do this. And I quit the job. And then I started applying and I started getting better. I started practicing more. And then I was offered a a position with Booz Allen, December of 2021. And it was it was a Linux interview, but then once I got on the job, it was all Windows and Azure. So I had to learn Windows and Azure because I don't have a Linux, I only have a Linux background. So, I spoke to one of my coworkers like, hey, I don't have the background that you all need me to have, but I'm here. So could you train me? I was open about it. And one of them was 6 people on my team. And one of them said, sure, I will help you every day. So every day I would shadow him and see what he does and how he talks on meetings and how he troubleshoot Windows or Azure server. So I started taking my own notes. Like I started creating my own SOP, like the way I would understand it, instead of going to the overall SOP that we use to do our day-to-day troubleshootings. So, and then by the 4th month, I was not even 4 months, actually, it was like 2.5 months. I was able to do things on my own. On my 3rd month, they told me to go out and do a tape exchange. Remind you, I don't even know what a tape exchange is. I don't even know what a tape is. And I went in, they told me what to do. I did the tape exchange once. And the next day they say, go and go do a swap, a hardware swap.
Mhm.
I didn't know what it was. I was like, hardware swap. I had to Google it on my way there. Like it's like the things that they tell you to do is that I'm just like, one time they say the motherboard has to be changed. I'm like, motherboard? I was like, what is a motherboard? So I had to go in with an HP. So we have different vendors. So HP was one of our vendors. And, we had to go and I had to go in with one of them to escort them into the data center. And I just take notes every time they do something. I take notes because at the end of the day, tomorrow they might tell me to go do it myself instead of without the vendor. So I would just take notes and ask questions. I always ask questions. I don't ask my project manager, but I ask my teammate questions all the time. And you got to know who to ask and who not to ask. So I used to always ask like, hey, can you tell me how to do this? Can you tell me how to do that? And I would take notes. It's been almost 2 years now. I'm still with them.
So one thing about what Semi just say, know who to ask question.
It's
Cause
key.
yeah, because sometimes project manager, they don't know anything,
Mhm.
right? They're just there to manage the project. They don't know anything regarding what they call. They don't know anything regarding the day-to-day,
work.
as a technical staff, they don't know. They're just there to guide you. So we have a question, what is a success rate? Oh, people complaining on how much self-study that they have to do. So the success rate in MTS, I would say our success rate is about what? 80 to 90?
That thing's pretty high.
Yeah, it's pretty high. And the self-study part is, to each, everybody have a different motivation, right? But I always say to people, like today, Semi came in and she's like, wow, you guys have all the stuff. When I was taking class here, we don't have that.
Yeah.
But all the stuff every day, I am working hard with a team to make sure that we provide a better environment for the student. You have everything, and some people are, it depends on people's self-motivation, right? You're probably easy person, all you care about is make sure you get your part done. You are probably dedicated, you are probably disciplined, and the next person probably not. So I say if you put the time in yourself, I think yourself should be a good person to talk about that.
Yeah. From what I see is, more is expected from you. So the lecture, the instructor will give you the lecture and you get the note, but you have to practice more on the terminal and try to master, the more you do it, the more you know it. So the more you know, the more you practice the command on the command line, and the commands on the terminal will help you to remember. So what I suggest is more is expected individually, and the instructors also give you all the necessary information, and there's also a note, and there's also a class video to go back and review. But it's not like if you really invest your time on it, and it's going to be easy. My way of doing the Linux is repetition. So repetition, doing it again and again. So for example, Jerry showed you a virtual machine. So we built that virtual machine. So what you can do is ask them to remove it for you so you can rebuild it again. So you master it through repetition. The homeworks you have to repeat again and again, and the command line and the concept is also.
Thank you.
So like yourself just say the thing is the more that you learn, the more that you the more that you
Can I
practice.
add that?
Yeah, sure.
So when I was when I was a student, what really helped me is, yeah, putting effort and time on your own is key, but also the person that you team up with. If you team up with the wrong person, they will hold you back. But if you team up with the right person, you both motivate each other to study more, to get on the command line more. You just have to find the right person. And I don't think that being on your own is like studying on your own is not really something you should get used to, because even in the work field, you work with others. So it's better if you start working with others in the class now and troubleshoot with a partner that motivates you, or you motivate them, so you can work together. Because sometimes you learn from someone. Like even Jerry was just telling us today that he learned something from a student after all these years he's been doing Linux. So you don't know everything. And so it's better to work with somebody else that you can learn from. Yeah, that's it.
So basically it's the thing is also like yourself say is your self-motivations. You have to put the work in. And what I will say about that question is how much time do you know the requirement, the study requirement, I will say trying to put 2 to 3 hours a day if you can. And if you have any question, please let us know. We have tutoring, that's a key, right?
Yep.
Every places that you go, they probably don't have people have a time to be able to help you like that. But MTS, we have Yosef can talk to you guys about that. We have a tutoring session every Saturday, which is about to move to every Friday. And also you can schedule one-on-one with instructor, your instructor or a TA, or this somebody that's in the school. Okay, the program goes over the basic Linux or more advanced. So that's a good question. Our program it started with the basic. We have, like some people say, oh, I want to, I don't want to do Linux, I just want to do A+, right? We started with basic, the basic of computers first, then you do basic of Linux, then you do any media, which is telling you about how to add a user, how to, like control the user, do all those other stuff. And then you do the end, like the intense stuff, which is installing packages, managing packages, sending packages, controlling the firewall, creating a script. So we do we cover everything, even including automations, right?
So it's beginning, intermediate, and then advanced.
And then advanced.
And then interview prep.
Interview prep. We do the automation stuff we do as well, and we cover the automations such as Jenkins, Ansible, and we also do like a cron type, MariaDB, all those stuff we do. We cover all those programs, and that's the amount of time. That's why it requires a lot of practice and there are a lot of. If you see our screen that I showed earlier, we have the ticketing system, which have all your what you call curriculum there, all the homework, all the projects.
No.
So you get all the notes, you have videos, everything. So you will, as you go in the class, you will see that, oh, this is making sense. I have students in the class, the one that they say is my favorite. We always joke, and I always joke with her. What's her name? The girl from North Carolina. Lakeisha. So in my class, my students and I were like really good. We have a really good relationship. We talk outside the class, they communicate with me. But I remember when they first started the class, they have no idea. no idea whatsoever. But today we can have a conversation about things. And they've been in class since January. You know, today, when we talk about the stuff, they always ask me questions, then I answer. We talk about stuff, they have an idea of what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
which is very key to me. Then you don't know anything, you just come in and you don't want to put a work in. They put a work in because I push you. Some people don't like to work with me because I push, but those who like to work with me, they always end up happy about it because they learn so much and they can be able to do better.
And the other thing, Jerry, and the topics are very interrelated. So what you learn on chapter 1, you might use it on chapter 16 or chapter 18. So it's very related. For example, chapter 1 is file system, basic file systems. You learn about XFS, and the first time you hear it, it doesn't make sense. Now we are able to build a file system when we are creating the partitions, and those things make sense. So everything is interrelated, the other things.
Yeah, I agree. You can't miss a class. You don't want to miss a class. You shouldn't miss a class.
Okay, any other questions? And then we have all the class I recorded for the students. So once you say that you miss a class because we all adult and there's emergency also. So if anything's missing, you can always hit us up, go back and watch the video, schedule a tutoring session with instructor or a TA. Okay, if you don't have any question, please, I have a link earlier in the beginning. Put your name over there. The link, I'm gonna send it back again. Oh, okay. We're gonna just please fill out this link and let us know if you have any question. We will definitely get in touch with you. And if you just join us, you're behind or anything, feel free to fill this link. We will get in touch with you. And if you want to have a session with me to learn more, please feel free. I am not the person that's just gonna yell at you. I'm just gonna give you all the information that you need. Okay, once again, guys, thank you. The next session is gonna be next Saturday, same time. So if you guys have friends or yourself, you want to learn more, you can, if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you're gonna get an idea about the topic that we're gonna discuss next week. Today was virtualization. Next week is gonna be some stuff about security. And every week we're going to have different topics that we can discuss. New guests gonna be in the house as well. It might not be Semi, it might be Semi and somebody else also. Once again, thank you guys and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Jerry.